What up everybody, I'm Luigi and this is the very small but very powerful iPad mini and it's so good. Let's get right into it. This is my first iPad since the iPad 4th generation, the regular one with a big chin and a big forehead, and this thing is a beast compared to that one. Everything has been changed on this iPad, from the chip to the design, to the overall look, and even just overall speed of the actual device. Starting with the obvious, which is the design. It's a design with flat rails and round edges, just like the latest iPad Air, with identical camera bump at the back. It retails for £479 or $499, and I got it in the Starlight color, which is basically white with a gold tint in certain lighting, and sometimes look like rose gold. The display is bigger, it's 8.3 inches but in a smaller form factor, so they got rid of the big chin and the forehead and the home button, and has very symmetrical bezels all the way around the edges. And even though the bezels are still there, they do feel smaller. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos saying they do kind of like disappear a little bit, and I didn't understand it until I got this iPad, and they do kind of disappear. They kind of blend in really well, and it does really feel that the bezels are not there. Obviously, would I like it to not have bezels at all? Yes, that would have been nicer, but they does disappear, especially at this form factor, having an 8.3 inch display in a 7 inch kind of like form factor is a bit weird, like 7.83 inches, which is interesting. This iPad also supports the latest Apple Pencil, which is absolutely great. It's good for note taking. I don't have one because I didn't have the money for one, because I'm not willing to pay £100 for an Apple Pencil. Maybe in the future when I have more money. But yeah, it's great because you can use it now, and it does magnetically attach to the side, just like the iPad Pro and the iPad Air, as well as you have a fingerprint reader, which is really responsive, and I will probably recommend you, this is a top tip, to get 3 different fingers. I did 2 fingers and my palm to basically unlock the iPad on whichever way you're picking it up. Also, something really interesting is the volume buttons. They do change from whichever mode you're on. So if you're on portrait mode, going right goes up, going left goes down. But then if you have it on landscape mode, the top button goes up in volume and the down button goes up in volume as well. And then if you have it in portrait mode the other way around, when the fingerprint is at the bottom, then it does the same. Up is up, down is down. So it kind of like changes, which is kind of nice. It's not something they should have done or something that people would have care about, but it's actually nice to have it, because then you don't have to worry about which button to remember when to change in the volume. This new iPad mini design is so good, and it's so easy to hold with one hand. You basically can do everything with one hand. So you can scroll through social media or through the news with one hand. You can type like you are kind of typing in a massive iPhone 25, which feels weird, but it does make sense, and it actually works to type. A lot of this script was typed on the iPad mini on portrait mode, as well as just, yeah, like I said, just scrolling and content. I believe this iPad is made basically to consume content on portrait mode. So if you're big into reading on the go, kind of like if you have a Kindle, this would be a great upgrade, because it's basically a Kindle but with all the features of an iPad. So you still have all your social media, you still be able to watch YouTube, and you still be able to do everything that you wanted to do in an iPad while still having an e-reader in a very comfortable, easy to hold side. If you compare it to the previous iPad mini that I have one, well, my girlfriend has one, you can see that the edges on that, they're very sharp, so it's not very comfortable to hold with one hand. It's a little thicker as well compared to this one, so holding both with one hand, the previous iPad mini is really sharp and it's not really comfortable to hold with one hand, while this one is super comfortable to hold with one hand. Those round edges really make a difference all the way around. So it does have, like I said, it has flat rails, but kind of like the edges are not really sharp, so they're more like just nice and curved into it, which is nice. It's really lovely. This iPad can do a lot of things really well and at a very good performance. You can do from things like social media, scrolling through social media, watching YouTube while you're grabbing a coffee, reading, and even gaming. Surprisingly, gaming is super good. Like wasn't expecting it to be that good. I'm going to touch on that a little later on in the video. But yeah, so things like reading, taking notes, especially if you're a student and just doing research, It's really nice because, like I say, with a small form factor, being able to hold it with one hand and take notes is really comfortable and really useful, especially for students and professions that may require you to do a lot of research. Like my job, I'm an online coach, so sometimes I have to do research around the human body or training programs. So this thing has been really useful for those things. And all of that is possible with the brand new A15 chip on this new iPad mini, which is basically the same chip that the latest iPhone has, which is absolutely great. It's really efficient, it's really powerful, and it's really fast, like we said. I've done a lot of things over the last 2 weeks with this iPad, and it still hasn't slowed down at all. It's still running at the same speed that when I got it out of the box, if not faster. It really hasn't slowed down, and I've kept tabs open completely. I haven't closed any tabs. Obviously here and there I have closed them for like charging or to extend the battery life, but in terms of performance and multitasking, it definitely runs nice and smoothly with no budging whatsoever, especially for the things that I do, which is like basically consuming content like YouTube or watching podcasts or listening to podcasts or just anything else that requires kind of like long periods of time with the screen on. Has been really good while like either drinking a coffee or while doing some work. And those are the things that I've been using it the most, as well as taking notes, been writing the script for this video on the iPad mini. I've been gaming a lot on it, and it's still performing to a very high level, which I'm really happy about. Also, something really satisfying and wasn't expecting it is typing on this iPad. If you type in, I will recommend you to type in portrait mode, because you'll be able to type like you're typing on, like I said before, an iPhone in 10 years, like the iPhone 25. It might be this form factor in 10 years time, which is absolutely insane, but it does make a lot of sense. You can comfortably type with two hands, you can reach the keyboard with both of your thumbs with no problems whatsoever, and it's actually quite insane, especially if you get the iPad with a cellular that you can get, I think, up to 5G. You can definitely use that as your daily driver iOS phone. It's up to you. It is possible. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is 100% possible to use this as your phone, especially if most of the people around you are in the ecosystem. So all you do is iMessage and FaceTime, which you have on the iPad. And to tell you really how small it is, it does fit in your hoodie pocket, which I don't think I've ever done anything like that with an iPad. It does fit quite comfortably there, which is, like I said, insane. Insane has been a word that's been on this video quite a lot. So, but really, this thing, this small little piece of equipment and piece of gear is insane. But one thing I wasn't really expecting to be so good and so satisfying on this iPad has been gaming. Games like F1, Call of Duty, PUBG, and even playing on Google Stadia has been so smooth and so comfortable and so satisfying to play on. Even Stadia on the iPad mini plays as if not smoother than playing Google Stadia on my TV with a Google Chromecast Ultra, which is weird. And I don't know why, but it does play amazingly. I've been playing this game called Mafia, which is absolutely insane. It's basically like GTA from 100 years ago. And as you can see on the gameplay, it's absolutely insane. I recommend you to play this game on Stadia. It's for free if you have a subscription on the Google Stadia. But going back to the other games like F1, Call of Duty and PUBG, they run super smoothly. There's really never any drop in frames, and the iPad still runs pretty smoothly. It doesn't really get hot. One thing to keep in mind is that you can see two black bars, one on each side, that it makes the game just shrink a little bit. I think that might be just the iPad having to shrink it so you can keep a really high resolution. Maybe, I don't really know why, but you don't really notice it because that's where your thumbs are. I didn't really notice it until I start editing this video. But yeah, so really gaming on this is super comfortable. I've been gaming a lot on this and it's been really satisfying, and it's nicer than gaming on your phone because you have that extra bit of screen real estate. But let's talk about where this iPad falls a little bit short. One of them being the display. Like I previously mentioned, it's an 8.3 inch liquid retina display, basically just an LED display. It gets plenty bright, colors are nice and accurate, but it's not the best display in the market, especially when you have the iPad Air and iPad Pro with promotion. I would have liked this thing to be a little bit higher on refresh rate, but hey, what can we do? The other area is battery life, and this comes down to how you're going to use this iPad. If you're going to be using it throughout the day for reading, note-taking, maybe doing some light work, and maybe just watching the odd YouTube video on Netflix, then it's fine. It probably lasts you the whole day, and you get home at the end of the day with about 20 to 10% battery. So enough to get through a full day of work. But if you're planning on gaming or doing all the things I previously mentioned, and gaming or multitasking, especially at full brightness, expect this thing to not last you very long. But that's obviously to be expected, especially in the very small form factors. You don't really have a big battery, but that's just something to keep in mind. You do get USB-C, which is nice. It's really great for very quick file transfer. And obviously you can now charge it with every single USB-C cable that you have at your home, and not the stupid lightning cable that is still on iPhones and the current iPad, which is weird. But hey, I don't know. Ask Apple about it. Last but not least, or maybe least, yes, is the camera. So you have a 12 megapixel rear facing camera with a slight camera bump, just like the iPad Air and mentioned in the previous video. It takes some good pictures, but like I probably know, and I've probably seen so many videos about it, nobody really buys an iPad because of the camera. But you do get a wide angle 1080p front facing camera with center stage, which is actually quite nice. I haven't tested it very much, but a few times that I've tested it, I've actually had quite a bit of fun. It basically just keeps you in frame, keeps your face in the middle of the frame. Most of the time, either follows you to the side or follows you back and forward, like you can see on the video right now. It's actually quite fun, and it adds a bit of dynamic to your phone calls or your Zoom meetings or anything like that. There are many applications that support it, just like FaceTime and Zoom, which is nice. It's good to have it. But the real question is, who is this iPad for? And it's a question that I've been asking myself for the last 2 weeks as I've been using this iPad. I think this iPad is going to be great for students that are looking to have a small form factor iPad with support for Apple Pencil, and that you're going to be taking a lot of notes, because this thing is great for that. And it's going to be good for someone maybe at home that you want to be just consuming content, but with, like I said, with a small form factor with slightly bigger display than your phone. That's going to be great for those things too. And I think, if I'm not going to lie, I will probably want to do some gaming, especially on the go. If I'm traveling or if I'm doing anything else, I can share the hotspot from my phone to my iPad, or take the Wi-Fi from anywhere and just do some gaming on that. Even take my Google Stadia controller with me and do some gaming anywhere I go, because really it's really enjoyable. And like I said, it's super small, so you don't have to worry about kind of like the extra size of like an iPad Air or an iPad Pro. So having this is really no excuse to not take it with you anywhere you go, because it's so small. It's basically like a phone, and obviously you take your phone everywhere. So I will probably use the same thing like this. So I kind of like, I will just have it in my backpack all the time. But if I had an iPad Pro and I have a MacBook Pro as well, I probably would leave one of them at home. But now every time I go to a coffee shop, I take this and I take my MacBook Pro, and it's great, especially if I want to use a dual screen, which is absolutely great. Obviously, like, you guys know how Apple products work so well together. And yeah, having another Apple product next to a MacBook is quite nice. Like I said, it's really so small that it doesn't really add any weight to my backpack. So the iPad mini is definitely going to be great for students, for those who are going to be doing a lot of note-taking, research and reading. It's going to be great for that. And it's going to be great for those looking to upgrade their old iPad mini, because you don't want those sharp edges, you don't want that big chin and forehead and that home button. Now you have Fingerprint Reader, a very thin bezels all the way around, and a fairly good screen, and a pretty good battery life for just consuming content and scrolling around. So those are the person and the people that I think are going to benefit the most with this iPad mini. Will I keep it? I'm not really sure. I probably will. I'm still not sure 100%. But hey, I still enjoyed it and I really liked it. But that's all from me today, guys. Thank you for watching another video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you're notified next time a video comes out. Please, it will mean the world to me if you subscribe and hit the like button. We've been growing nice and steadily, which is great. So yeah, make sure to subscribe and I will like it. Rav will love it too. As you can see, I got, yeah. But anyways, see you later. See you guys on the very next video. Bye. See ya. Bye.